Hello and welcome to video number 41. This is me learning how to use the AKAI MPC Live 3 and passing on to you all my tips and tricks as I do so. In my last video I was dealing exclusively with the song mode, and there was just a couple of bits I wanted to clear up about that before I move on to the subject of today's video. Now here I have a song and it's got 6 steps recorded into it, taken from these 5 sequences. If I press record like this and I choose a sequence, let's say I choose sequence 3, this one here, let's place that at the end of the list of sequences to be played by the song. If I press that again, notice how the loop count has jumped up to 2. Let's just undo that. So I'm going to press sequence 3, it's gone in on the end. Now notice here the sequence count, how it jumps up when I press that sequence 3 again. And again and again, each time I press that button or I press the pad over here, that sequence count jumps up. That's one thing I don't think I mentioned in my previous video. The other thing which was a bit confusing I think from my last video was this insert button here. Whichever sequence is in focus here in this list, let's say it's sequence 4, if I press insert, watch what happens. It inserts itself underneath itself, so sequence 4 has now been copied here and the other sequences underneath have dropped down. So if I come up to sequence 2, press insert, notice I've got another one of those underneath. These other ones underneath have all dropped down. Now of course, if you've inserted something like I inserted that one, you can always change it with the data dial. See? So it doesn't have to be sequence 2, it could be sequence 3 or 1 or whatever you want. So it's just a couple of bits there that I wanted to clear up from my previous video. Now the subject of today's video is the next sequence button. Now I touched on this a bit in my video about the top row buttons. If I press set and I press next seek, this up here, next sequence, which is button 13, this will choose the various sequences. If I go to the main page, keep your eye on the main screen here. If I press button 1, it's sequence 1, button 2, sequence 2. Okay, and we've got 5 sequences. If I go to 6, that's unused. So using set and button 13, next seek, next sequence, you can choose your sequences from your top row buttons. We'll leave that on because that will be useful, I think. Now in the menu we have this next sequence button. I'm going to press that and it looks a bit like the song mode, but it isn't. This is next sequence and it is different. When I kind of dealt with this subject in my video about the top row buttons, I only had one sequence in the project, so I wasn't able to show you, but now I've got these 5 sequences. I created these for my song mode video. Now I can show you this and it's really good actually, it's quite interesting. So all we have here are the 5 sequences that I've created for this project in order. This isn't going to play sequentially like this. This is not the song mode, just to be clear here. So what is this for? Well, you can set the project running and you can pick sequences from this list. So at the moment it's on sequence number 1. You can see this is flashing. If I press play start, we hear that. If I press sequence 3 here, it will jump to that at the end of the 2 bars, because the 2 bar sequences. 4, back to 1. So it's simply a way of choosing your sequences on the fly, but there's a few more things you can do here. Now when this is running, you can't select different sequences from the vertical list. I'll show you. See, pressing those won't do anything, but if I press here or over here, the one you pressed starts to flash. So if I set this going, the sequence that's running just keeps looping round and round. When I'm ready to pick another sequence, let's say I'm going to choose sequence 5, I can press it here or here. I'll press that, it will start to flash, and at the end of the 2 bars it will jump to it. So here we go, 2, 3, 4, then goes solid and starts to play. Do another one, come back to 1. Now you can scroll up and down with the data dial, but if you want to choose one, you've got to press down, see? So up to sequence 2, it's flashing, press it, you get the idea. And you can use the plus and minus buttons. Again, you've got to press down to choose it, or just go straight to it. With the sequence running, let's just run this first sequence. I can jump back to the various 2 bars with the double arrow buttons, or I can jump backwards and forwards in quarter beats with the single arrow buttons. You have your bar, beat and tick up here, so you can scroll to wherever you want, but only within the sequence, you see. Using the data dial, it goes up and down in beats. Using the double arrow buttons, it goes up and down in bars, and using the single arrow buttons, it goes up and down in quarter beats. Plus, minus buttons, same as the data dial. Now with the sequence running, you can do a few things. You can scroll bar by bar through each sequence with the double arrow buttons, like that, or the single arrow buttons. Yeah, you can move through the sequence with the various buttons and dials, but you know, I'm not sure how useful that is, but it can be done. And like I say, the sequence simply loops until you change it. So like I showed you there, you can choose the next sequence, not from the vertical list, but from the pads, either virtual or real. Here's sequence 3 flashing, now playing. Now, if I set this going on sequence 1 and I choose another sequence, let's say I choose sequence 3 like this, I can go straight to it by pressing sudden. I don't have to wait. So let's choose sequence 5 and I can go immediately to sequence 5. Again, it's quite jumpy, isn't it? So I'm not sure how useful that would be, but you can do it. Also, you can choose to jump to a flashing sequence by pressing next bar. Now, we've only got 2 bar sequences here, so to show this off, I've got to do this within the first bar. So at the moment, sequence 1 is in focus. If I press play start, only that sequence will play over and over again. I'm going to choose sequence 5 as my next sequence. It will flash. If I press next bar during the first bar, it will jump to it. So I'll do it here. Now next bar, and it will jump to it now. See? It didn't wait for the 2 bars to go by. You could show that off better, of course, if these sequences were longer, but I had to do that pretty quickly. But next bar literally means that. If the sequence is running and you choose another one, it will jump to that other one at the beginning of the next bar, or the end of the current one, if you like. Now, let's go back to sequence 1 and press play start. If I press hold, okay, well, we know that it runs constantly, so there's no difference. But if I choose another sequence like sequence 4, now it won't jump to that. I've locked that on sequence 1. It'll only go on to this one here if I turn the hold off. Now it will jump to it. So this next sequence page is simply for pulling up all your sequences, if you have more than one, and playing them at random, playing them on the fly. It's not the same as song mode, which is a structured setup whereby the sequences play in the order that you've set them. You can't change how many times they loop for or anything like that. It's fairly basic. Now there is one thing I haven't shown you, and that's this button down here, which is this arrow 2 quavers song button. So if you press that, I'll show you what happens. Now it's saying copy to song, so this is going to put all this into a song for you. It's not quite as straightforward as that. I'll scroll to a new one, unnamed. If I press do it, okay, let's go to the song mode. So menu, second page, song mode. That's my first song. So come up here and the new song. Now what it did was, if I come back to this, notice that the sequence 4 was in focus. Let's go to a different one. Let's go to sequence 2. Let's go to an unused one, do it. Right, let's go to the song page. So there's my first new song. There's my second one. Notice that one was sequence 4 at the top. This one was sequence 2 at the top. And back here, this is the song that I did in my song mode video. So new song, song 2, starts with sequence 4, and new song, song 3, starts with sequence 2 because that was the sequence in focus when I pressed that button. And then of course you can carry on from there. You can press record, you can add different patterns underneath that. So what happens, just to be clear, is if you press this button, whatever sequence is in focus here will be inserted in the first slot of that song. So notice I've got sequence 5, press that button. Let's go to an unnamed song, song 4, do it. Remember it was sequence 5, menu, song, and there we are, new song, song 4, starting with sequence 5, and then of course I could add more sequences underneath that. And don't forget, if I press the same button more than once, we get multiple loops. Now if I set this going and I have one set up to play next, like this one here, I can clear this so it doesn't jump to it. So if I press sequence 3 here, it's going to go to it, but if I press clear before it gets to it, it won't jump to it, it stops flashing, see. And of course you can always go to the beginning of the sequence you're on by pressing shift and stop. So if you've got a few sequences that you've recorded, and you want to try out various orders on the fly, you can do it using this function. I think it's pretty good. So if you enjoyed today's video and you feel like you got something from it, please give it a like and consider subscribing to my channel. If you'd like to give me a bit of a helping hand with all the work I do on YouTube, please give me a small donation. You can do it here on YouTube or via my website, which is www.daddylonglegs.com. Thank you very much for watching today, and you'll hear from me very soon, no doubt. Bye for now.